How's it going, everybody? I have some pretty bad news for you. Unfortunately, I fell from a tree. Now, luckily, I did not get seriously injured. I just have a back pain because I was basically doing something very similar to this. I was using a branch to descend from the tree, like I showed in the last video. This is from the last video. So you see that I go like this, and I was doing something. I mean, this time I was using two branches because there were two branches, but fundamentally it was still similar to this. I was in a similar situation. It is not a big height because the purpose of this is to go down anyway. So this is the level where if you were under me and I extended my feet down, you could very well grab my feet. Like, this is not a big height, but the problem is that if the branch breaks, and some branches, especially the ones that are in Canada, it's very cold. The trees have very weak branches. If you look at the forest has weak branches. Like, there's a branch that's fallen, and there's like a dead branch, like literally hanging here. This forest and the trees here in general are have weak branches, and that one that broke was visibly, it wasn't dead, but it was also kind of half dead, pretty much. Like, it had leaves, but you see, when some of the small branches that grow are dead, like some of them, let's say some of them have leaves, but some of them are dead, and it's not a good sign. So does that mean that the whole thing should just be abandoned? Because you're a human and you're heavier, and even the biggest chimpanzees aren't as heavy as you as a human. Most of it comes from your huge legs. Uh, so what I should have done here, and what should definitely, uh, like, this is a must, is that at this point, when you get to the point where you're kind of reaching, at this point, the further I go, the amount of pressure that I put on the branch is just exponentially increasing. So I need to pretty much prepare for the branch breaking. In this case, I don't want it to break. Most of the cases they won't break. This was the first time it happened, but I gotta basically extend my feet, like the way, let me show you, the same way that I was swinging here and I had my feet like this. If this branch breaks, I'm falling on my feet, and you want to fall anyway, because that's the purpose of this, is you are doing this to get down from the tree. This is the only time, actually the only time, when you swing all the way to the edges of the branch. So branch climbing starts from uh, here, when you're like, this is at this point, it's like, okay, you know it will not break, unless the branch is actually dead, but at this point you know it will not break. But if you get to this point, then yeah, it's kind of at this point you want to make sure that you are just swinging on it and your feet are not like this, because if you fall, just fall on you. If the branch breaks, you just fall on your back. In terms of the actual safety, this is a very safe thing. Like, this is actually very, very safe. If the branch doesn't break, that's the uh, caveat, that if the branch doesn't break, then this is actually really safe. But you want to make sure that at this point, the amount of pressure you put on the branch at this point, it's really, really growing. And this was a mistake that I did here, that you see, I was literally all the way to the end. I was not extending my feet, so if it actually broke, I was not ready to fall on my feet. I would have fallen on my back. And it's the same thing with the other one that I did here, where you see me going like this, and you see me basically here. I'm doing a very smart thing. I'm just going around like this, and then just like going down. Okay, this is good so far. At this point, I should already be just using my hands, and my feet should be straight, not any swinging where your feet are dangling back and forth. So, not like at the very end, you notice how my feet were like dangling, like, don't do this, okay? Like, this was just for fun, basically, that I was doing it. You don't want, because if the branch does break, you will probably break when your feet are in front of you, and you'll probably, like, because of the momentum, you fall on. And actually, let me actually show you, the branch that actually broke was actually this tree behind. Like, I actually caught it even on camera. So you see this tree here, you see it goes straight up, but then there's also the part that goes to the left. and I was basically, I climbed on the part that goes to the left, and I literally did a freaking rampage. Like I just chimp climbed on the thing that goes to the left, and then I climbed on like, and I used these branches here to get down, and the lowest one was the one that broke, the one that's like, you see where the bar for my minutes and seconds is, the white bar, the lowest one there. uh, so that one broke, and yeah, it really sucked. So obviously, that if I didn't intend to climb down, then I would have just climbed normally, and that wouldn't have happened. But because when you climb down, it's like you're going all the way to the very edge of the branch. It's just, you would rather just let yourself drop. If you feel that the branch is about to break, you would rather just literally just let yourself drop. Like at this point, you see at the very end here, if the branch breaks here, it's not a big height. Like you can tell after I get down, you can tell that I'm literally just touching the ground now. But falling like 10 15 feet on your back is not a good thing. And for me, was just I got strong like back muscles, so my back didn't get hurt. My spine didn't, like, I literally have no marks. Like you can't even tell if you look at my back. So there's nothing with my spinal bone didn't even touch the ground, but my muscles did. And like my muscles, like my back muscles, are pretty sore now, and also my head kind of hit the ground a little bit. um so if there's any rocks or anything, just don't do it at all. Like if there's any rocks, just don't do it at all. So again, this is an example where the climb is actually, when the branches don't break, it really feels safe, and it is safe, but you gotta brace for that. And here's another example of this is an example I'm going to show you of when I actually fell down. So you notice here that I started swinging, you know. And this was pretty much the same height that I fell on my back. I literally didn't get any kind of injury. Like I was literally as if nothing happened. So here is another example where I swing, and I'm like, the branch could break here, but at least my feet are like, if something happens, it's like my feet. When I was here, if the branch broke when I was here, then I would have fallen on my feet, you know. And you gotta be careful with these things. You gotta be, because you never know when it happens. I'm not saying like now just stop doing it because it can happen, but you definitely gotta be careful with it. Going back to my
Hey, you know
swinging
what?
videos, you see this one I wanted to show you. You might look at this tree and be like, "Oh, I could do so much branch climbing." None of it is worth it. Like trust me, it's a dead trap. First of all, anything that's higher than this, anything that's higher than this, anything that is like, it's just too high for it. Like you just can't take the risk of doing it that high unless you just literally only go a little bit on like the beginning of, but you can't go far from the tree trunk at a big height. And you can only like use the small branches, like you can use a branch like this. But here's the thing, here's the thing here. It's like, you never know. You never know where, like, this branch, like to be honest, there's a big difference that I did not go all the way to the end. When you go all the way to the end of a branch, like if I went all the way, the end is like actually all the way here. Like you see, this is where, like, go when you go all the way to the end, the amount of pressure you put on the branch just exponentially grows. Like it's an exponential growth. So I would generally, basically, the rules that I created is that, first of all, look at the ground. There should be no rocks on the ground. You shouldn't be doing it at any height where falling could be like extremely serious. Like anything above 20 feet, 25 feet, I wouldn't do it. And you should not go all the way to the ends of the branches. Although the technique of climbing down using a branch requires that, you should, if you do that, you should be very careful not to swing in a way where like you're using this momentum, where your feet are just like this. When your feet are like, look the way they're going like this. What you see when your feet are swinging and they're like my feet are like swinging around like this. And when you swing, the branch could break when your feet go forward and the branch breaks and you fall on your back. So you got to be very careful. Just uh, swinging at the ends of branches is easy because the branch is um, it's actually much easier than monkey bars. Like, here's the thing: if you can go to a gym, and they usually have monkey bars in gyms, I think they have. If you can swing on monkey bars in the gym, then you can swing on these low hanging branches um, at the ends of it. So just be careful because it definitely can be done. Like, I could have gone, but you need to make sure that even if it breaks, your feet are straight. Like, if it breaks and your feet are straight and you don't have that swinging, like I was monkeying around there. I was like displaying, like I was literally putting forward like a chimpanzee display. Like literally, if I should have got it on camera. I should have got it on camera. And I was actually going crazy around. Like, I was actually swinging like crazy around those branches, and it was by the side of the road, so there were like cars passing, they could see me, and there's like an old lady like cutting the grass, and then I'm like swinging like crazy on those branches. Like, it was like serious. Like this is, let me show you the only thing that is like that kind of shows what I mean when I was saying the way I was swinging is like, look at this. Okay, look at look at this. Let's see. Like, at the very end, you notice how I swing here. Like, look at this. This is the way I was swinging on those branches. Like, like, this is the way I was swinging on, like this. This is the way I was swinging on those branches. Like take a look at this. Like this, basically. But that was like at the ends of the branches. That was like at the ends of the branches, and I basically just. So again, you might look at this tree and be like, "Wow, such big opportunities for branch climbing." Not really. It's just you're just too heavy for it. You can do it. You're a human. You can definitely train yourself to do it. If you do like hanging at small heights, like I did it once in a playground. For the first time I could actually do it properly because I didn't have the fear of falling. I did like in a kids playground, and there was like a long bar, and I just swang like the way I swing here. I just went like that on that long bar, and I kind of, the moment I did it the first time, I just couldn't I couldn't forget how to do it. I'm just using my momentum. You see how I'm not even bending my arms. I'm not bending my arms. I'm literally just using momentum here. you know but you got to be doing a lot of and obviously the bark is very important, because if the bark is smooth, you will not be able to do this. The bark has to be rough. You have to, if you want to test it, you should be able to hang pretty pretty easily on it. If you cannot stay a long time hanging on it, then uh it's just if you cannot stand like 5 minutes hanging in one hand, if you cannot hang 5 minutes, sorry, 5 seconds, not 5 minutes, if you cannot hang 5 seconds in one hand, then because there are you see, whenever you make a swing like this, you are only using one hand, so you need to. This was actually very natural. This actually came very naturally for me when I was doing this. Just like the first time I went like this, because I was like at a very small height, so even like sleeping off, like this is literally like a playground kind of level. Like, this is like the bars in a playground I'm talking about, maybe a little higher, but for me it's just good enough. you know and uh yeah, just be careful, just take care, okay? Don't get fooled by the number of branches. Just you will not be in those, like the edges of branches. You won't be there. Like, you don't do not see yourself doing that, because it doesn't matter if there's a lot of branches. They'll just all break. Like, for the most part, you can't get you typically you only go halfway. You know, if you actually look at the whole branch all the way to the end, you only go halfway. Like you only go as far as, like, this is the furthest, this is the as far as you will go. You know, you will not go further than this unless you want to do this, in which case you should be really careful to be prepared to fall on your feet. This is already a small height, so at this point you just be prepared to fall on your feet. Okay, never put yourself in this position where here the branch very easily could break and I would fall on my back if it actually happened, and I did, you know. And yeah, so take care.